to the indictment. Everyone knows the normal process is
Hang
the government
on.
indictment. Almost 4 times the
Okay,
court
so
limit. Even
I'm going to put this up.
Was given Jack Smith
I can't. Jim Jordan. Okay, so first of all, Jim Jordan, go fuck yourself. Second of all, I'm going to put Jack Smith up here in a minute. But here's the thing. If Mr. Jordan is so terribly concerned with the constitutional rights of the First Amendment, look at Minnesota, you fucking squirrel. Also, by the way, does anybody want to Google Ohio State sexual assault and Jim Jordan? Does anybody want to do that? Because these people are disgusting. So we're going to listen to some of this idiot. But man, oh man, I hope Jim Jordan brings that same energy to the 5-year-old boy who was renditioned, right? Has anybody seen that from Minneapolis this morning? Does anybody give a shit? Because here's the thing. These people are fucking whack jobs. Why? Oh, oh God, Jim Jordan. Here's the thing. This is like not, the sound of Jim Jordan's voice is like, this guy is an absolute piece of shit. And I want to tell you something about Jack Smith. Jack Smith, and he's got an impeccable record. He worked at the International Criminal Court, which was, by the way, in part set up by the United States of America until they decided they didn't want to be a part of it anymore because we became a bunch of war criminals. So look, I've lost tons of followers. And you know what? I don't give a shit because the hour is late, friends. The hour is late. And the posturing and the bullshit that is going on from the orange shit gibbon on down, give me a fucking break. And this is the thing. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot be for the Constitution in one case and not for it in the other because it fits your political whims. You can't. Or you can, and then you can get the fuck out of here. Because I'm not here for any of this shit. I am so fucking pissed about so many things. And has who's seen the 5-year-old boy? Who's seen the 5-year-old boy de facto trafficked by your government? Used as bait. So I am going to watch this hearing, but I'm not going to I'm going to give it a little time so I got some boop room because there's some people I won't listen to. And that's just the fucking way it is. So sorry, chat. Hello. Good morning to the 17 of you here. Welcome aboard. I've been studying my ass off for the last few weeks or for the last week or two, but today I've had. So it's a see you next Thursday kind of day. Who has seen what is going on currently? Well, where do we start? You tell me. Yes. Okay, so good morning. Hi. Good morning. I saw a 5-year-old was, yes. Heartbreaking. Correct. Disgusting is another word. Illegal is another word. Good morning. Oh, how's it going? Look, I know that you are in the Great White North, and there's just there needs to be a growing level of solidarity and outrage. And when I talk about, let's see, what do you guys want to talk about first? We want to talk about the fact that Greenland is not a thing, that Trump is unhinged, that ICE is doing warrantless searches and renditioning children. Do we want to talk about the fact that Jim Jordan is a sex pest, allegedly? What do you want to talk about? Because everything feels like it's on fire right now, right? Everything, that's because everything is on fire. Today's shitstorm, I mean, name it. So first of all, let me just, I mean, where do you even start? Here, I don't know. You guys tell me where to start. Well, okay, so this is a great question. So yeah, it's even really Fiend. Yeah, I don't know. Probably, I mean, right. So why do we have a 25th Amendment if we can't use it? This is a great question. So the 25th Amendment, for people that don't know about it, was introduced by Dwight Eisenhower, I think, that was basically a shit hook, to remove a president that's incapacitated or unable to fulfill his duties. Now, sounds great, but okay, so yeah, everybody, I'm going to get to your questions because I maybe have some answers. So the 25th Amendment, if a president becomes incapacitated for whatever reason, there's a line of succession and then there's a mechanism to remove him from office. Now, this could be anything. Like if he becomes incapacitated, and I believe that Eisenhower, and if you check out Heather Cox Richardson's channel, she's amazing, a historian. She was talking about it. And, the thing is that we have a 25th Amendment that requires, and what it does is it provides a mechanism to remove this president, right? We have impeachment, then we have the 25th Amendment. Now, the problem with the 25th Amendment is that it's basically a convocation of all of the executive branch heads. So when we think about who's in the executive branch offices, you got Kristi Noem, you got Pete, the dipshit war criminal Hegseth, bombing people in international waters, and don't even get me started on fucking maritime law, because you got those two idiots. Who else we got? That fucking WWE wrestling person that's destroyed the Department of Education. You got old fucking Pam Bondi, who is running the DOJ into the ground. Who else? So you have to have a convocation, right? A convocation of the heads of these departments that come together and say, you know what? Our president is out of his fucking mind. And we need to put country over party. Do you think any of these idiots are going to put the American people or the world order over the orange shit gibbon? Seriously. So that's the thing, right? So we're left with nothing. The 25th Amendment is basically inoperable because there has to be that like actual integrity within the department. Let's see. What else? Pam Bondi is a loser. She's disgusting. Let's see. I'm a first-generation American. This is personal. Great-grandma, okay, helped raise me. We're illegal immigrants. I was raised around day laborers who gathered at my dad's business 30 years. Yeah, you know what? None of us. Hey, you know who's the only person that's not an immigrant? It's Indigenous folks. Indigenous folks who, by the way, are being held. I think there's still 4 being held at in Minneapolis. It's like, I'm sorry, you're detaining the only non-immigrants ever. And look, this is like, yeah, indigenous folks being taken by ICE. Goddamn right. It was pretty insulting to hear him shit on my country as if we did. I mean, listen, yes. And first of all, I just like to issue a blanket fucking apology for the however many people that voted for Trump, because this is all on you. It is. This is your fault. Thanks so much. And it's all on you. Because the thing is that there were those of us out here saying this is the end. And this is going back to before the first nightmare election. This is on you. And especially the GOP that continue to prop up a man who is so fundamentally ill. That's the most charitable I can be. The reason, so first of all, blanket apology to the world. Okay. And the thing is that as American citizens, it's going to be our job to build back up. And you know what? That's not going to happen in my lifetime. I'm not going to live to see that. It's going to take a long time. And you know what? We fucking deserve it. Right? Because here's the deal. We never reckoned with our genocidal fucking past. We didn't. Our slave patrolling, genocide spreading, here's your smallpox blanket. We've never dealt with it because we're predicated on white supremacy and a Christian nationalism. And nobody wants to talk about that. I don't know, man. And when I say white supremacy, what I mean is the system. And yeah, that's where I hear you say, but Nicki Minaj is Black. White supremacy is predicated on the superiority of a class. And let me tell you something. They'll take whoever they can. And if she wants to go along to get along, I'm going to pray for you. Let's see, who's this? Nah, I'm American. We blame your politicians, not the people. Oh, I'm not American. Well, I hope so. I mean, here's the thing, though. Yeah, Jim Crow never ended. If you've not read Michelle Alexander, where is it? I'll be right back. If you've not read this, I suggest you do. Yeah, it's basically the carceral system, which is why I don't call it the criminal justice system. It's a criminal legal system, and it's devoid of any meaning right now. It really is. And so, let's see. What else? Sad part, though, I'm not convinced he won the last election. Not honestly. The American people may not be on the hook as much as some think. I'm Canadian, by the way. Well, you know, unfortunately, he did win this last election. Unfortunately. And that's something I think that, by the way, Canadians, no matter what you think of your prime minister, he gave a very, I think he gave a very important speech And I admire that very much. And I admire, as many of you know, I'm a Czech citizen as well as an American. And my grandparents came over in 1920 on the Rotterdam from Bohemia. And my dad didn't speak English until he went to school. And he spoke German because, of course, Bohemia was always occupied by some other fucking force. Soviet Union, name it. We know imperialist gulag pieces of shit. And that's kind of what's happening now, gulags. So anyway, I just, it is. I think it's okay. I think it's okay for Americans to sit with it for a while. We have to. I think my personal opinion is that I have to sit with this. What, how did we get here? And it's pretty obvious how we got here for those of us that want to listen. Dems assumed Trump wouldn't win, so not enough showed up to vote. Maybe. Who's the literal Nazi? Look, okay. Do you guys want to watch some of this or what? Because, oh my God, the live stream is down. Hang on a second. Let me see, Jack.
With Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant, I can summarize key contract details in seconds so that I can confidently explain it to both the buyer and the seller. AI Assistant helps me focus on what really matters, helping people find a place that they can call home.
They are not going to close the vote until we get there. I know that much. So we will start with the gentleman from California. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Oh, barf.
Good morning, Mr. Smith. When Attorney General Garland appointed you, he cited the particularly sensitive matters at issue and extraordinary circumstances as the reason for appointing a special counsel. What did you take that to mean?
What I understood that to mean is I was to conduct an independent investigation and come to my own conclusions about whether the facts and the law supported a prosecution.
But clearly he was alluding to the fact that we had an investigation into a leading candidate for president. That was part of the extraordinary circumstances. Would you agree?
I will rely on his public statements about that. I understood my role as special counsel was governed by the regulations, which required me to make an independent decision on my own.
So certainly you would agree it was important to approach the investigation with humility and restraint. Is that fair?
Yes, and that's what I sought to do. I sought to.
And you thought you possessed those qualities. In fact, you testified at your deposition, quote, "I thought I was the right person for the job." Of course, some disagreed. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley.
Oh my God. Okay.
Said, quote, "Jack Smith has a reputation for."
Okay. No, Jonathan Turley, go fuck yourself.
Stretching criminal statutes beyond the breaking point. I assume you disagree with that statement by Professor Turley.
I do disagree with that statement. I think my career speaks for itself.
But that statement was also, and I'm sorry to have to interrupt, I just have a short amount of time. That statement was also echoed by the United States Supreme Court in a unanimous opinion in McDonald versus the United States, where the court overturned convictions that you had pursued against a former governor, criticizing your boundless interpretation of the federal criminal statute. At issue, that opinion was joined by Justices Ginsburg, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan. So do you also disagree with that statement by those justices?
I have conducted my career in a nonpartisan fashion. That particular case, the legal position that the department took, that wasn't my personal position. That was the position of the department.
I see. So,
Mr. Smith, dumbass. Of course it is. You fucking
to review the work of two special counsels, John Durham appointed during the Trump administration, and Robert Hur during the Biden administration. And in both cases, they seem to exhibit that humility
Oh my God. Are they trying to say that this man?
Detail, the way you conducted this investigation, I see a very different mode of operation.
Do
One that
you?
sought maximum
Whoever you
litigation
are?
advantage at every turn, one that repeatedly circumvented
Okay, sir, I'm going to have to ask you about your fucking hair. What is going on? What is happening here, sir? You're talking to a goddamn ICC attorney who's been a public servant. What is happening with your face? Go fuck yourself.
constitutional limitations to the point that you had to be reined in again and again. throughout the
Sure.
process.
Yeah, that's
For
right.
example, shortly after you became special counsel, you issued a subpoena for the phone records of the Speaker of the House of Representatives over a
Okay.
2-month period.
Here we go.
Along with
Here we go.
other senators and representatives.
Okay, so this is the part that everybody needs to hear, right? This is the thing that I tweeted about, which I'm trying to stay off that shit stain of the site. But here's the thing that I tweeted about. Listen to how much these idiots talk about getting phone records. What it is, to be clear, is that they are not worried about Trump's culpability in January 6th, the insurrection that actually happened and his attempt to overthrow the peaceful transfer of power in this country, because they know he did what he did. They're worried about showing their asses. And so when they talk about the phone records, I need you to remember that these are toll records. These are not wiretaps. These are not anything more or less than saying who was in contact with whom. Who was in contact with whom? Because the person being investigated was Donald Trump. Who was he in touch with when he refused to save Vice President Pence? So listen to these bitches and how much time they spend on this.
Even though the public integrity section.
With respect to the toll record subpoenas that we issued, they were approved by the public integrity section. The public integrity section, in approving those subpoenas, noted the fact that the subpoenas were for records for people who were not targets of our investigation.
But they said there was a litigation risk and you moved forward with it anyway. And not only that, but you also sought orders from judges, making it so those who were having their records seized would not know about it. And you even didn't tell those judges that it was members of Congress whose records you were going after in apparent contravention of a federal statute saying that a telephone provider for a Senate office shall not be barred from providing notice that the records had been requested.
Shall not be barred.
If you sought to do that today, would you be able to get away
because
with that?
The law has changed, hairdo.
Order without telling
The
them
law.
these are members of
Tell him,
Congress?
Jack. Tell him.
When we secured these toll record subpoenas, it was done consistent with department policy. You're correct in that that policy has since changed.
They changed the policy based upon the actions that you took.
No.
Similarly, you issued a gag order against President Trump that the DC Circuit Court of Appeals vacated as overbroad. Is that?
What?
Well, the DC Court of Appeals, in passing on that order, found that it was justified. They narrowed the order, but they confirmed that the
They
phenomenon.
narrowed the order because it was overbroad. In addition to that, you sought an early trial date that the district court rejected. And when you presented your prosecution memo to Attorney General Garland, it's been reported that he was visibly unimpressed and expressed First Amendment concerns.
Okay.
So, Mr. Smith, looking at the record, I see that you were reversed and rebuked by the Department of Justice itself, by the Attorney General, by the Solicitor General, by multiple district court justices, judges, by the Court of Appeals, and by the U.S. Supreme Court itself. So my final question is, do you believe that you made any mistakes? Do you have any regrets as to how you conducted this investigation?
No.
If I have any regret, it would be not expressing enough appreciation for my staff who work so hard in these investigations. We followed the facts and the law. These people who work for me sacrificed endlessly and have endured way too much for just doing their job. So if anything, I wish that I had thanked them.
I'm the gentleman.
No mistakes. There's that humility. Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Fuck off, hairdo. Who is that asshole?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
Here we go. The
the good
constitutional
gentleman
lawyer.
from California certainly knows, because he was a student of mine, that lawyers go to court and sometimes they win motions and sometimes they lose motions, and there's no crime in any of that. And I'm just sorry that you had to be lectured about humility and restraint by a politician, because we might not be best poised to lecture you on those particular virtues. But let's go to the toll record, since that's been raised, Mr. Smith. First of all, Congress has allowed toll records to be subpoenaed. This committee has actually tried to limit it over the years, and the senators who are whining the most over on the Republican side in the Senate, they never went along with our determination to try to limit the government's ability to subpoena toll records. So it's perfectly lawful what you did. Explain, why did you want those toll records?
We wanted to conduct a thorough investigation of the matters that was assigned to me, including attempts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power. The conspiracy that we were investigating was relevant to get toll records, to understand the scope of that conspiracy, who they were seeking to coerce, who they were seeking to influence, who was seeking to help them.
And that's normal investigative practice, right?
In conducting a criminal investigation, securing non-content toll records, as you described, is a common practice in almost any complex conspiracy.
Okay, let's go to something else that I've been hearing over the last week by our colleagues as they've eagerly anticipated your arrival here. They've been saying that there's some kind of First Amendment defense that Donald Trump would have had to the crimes you indicted him for. Is there a valid First Amendment defense to defrauding the public? Is there a valid First Amendment defense to disrupting a federal proceeding? Is there a valid...
No, there isn't. Words matter. If you use your words and it straight up perpetrates a fraud, that's not covered by the First Amendment. Go on, Mr. Raskin.
First Amendment defense to violating the voting rights of the people and cheating the public out of a fair election.
The First Amendment is something that we took seriously in our investigation, but the First Amendment does not protect speech that facilitates a crime. Speech that is used to facilitate a crime, a fraud crime in particular, is not protected under the First Amendment. The Supreme Court precedent on that is clear. This is an issue that we litigated before the district court, and the district court ruled, as I just stated, that it is not in fact protected.
And the case law is perfectly clear on this, right? All frauds are perpetrated by speech.
Yes.
Right? Yes. All conspiracies are perpetrated by speech.
Yes.
So just because your criminal conduct is brigaded with speech doesn't somehow mean you've got a First Amendment defense against trying to overthrow the government. I mean, the people who attacked the police officers on January 6th were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." I suppose that was political speech, or they were saying, "Stop the steal." Does that mean they've got a First Amendment defense to violent assault against the officers?
It does not.
William Barr, by the way, was somebody who was perfectly clear about that. Donald Trump's own attorney general said, there's no freedom of speech that you have to engage in a conspiracy to overthrow an election, to commit crime. He was perfectly clear about that back in those days. In fact, lots of people on that side of the aisle, including my good friend, the chairman, denounced the violence that took place on January 6th. The cat's got their tongue these days. My friend Chairman Jordan said, what happened last week was terrible, it's tragic. It's as wrong can be, he said. Republicans, we know all political violence is...
Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna need everybody on this dais to bring this fucking energy to what's going on with the warrantless searches and the invasion of the city of Minneapolis and renditioning of 5-year-olds. I'm going to need the same fucking energy. So the hubris and the goddamn nerve of Jim fucking wrestling sex scandal cover up in Jordan, I'm going to need him to take it down a notch. And I need people to start understanding these motherfuckers could do something. They could do something. And this is not it. Now, I think it serves a good purpose. It serves a purpose, right? That this hearing is happening in public. Because the people need to hear it. I watched some of the closed door hearings. And let me tell you something. I suggest you watch that because there wasn't this bullshit grandstanding.
Wrong. I asked my friend Chairman Jordan at a rules hearing, are you also not interested in what happened to us on January 6th? He said, of course, everyone's interested in holding people accountable who did wrong. The FBI is doing that. The Justice Department is doing that, appropriately so. What do you think about the attack on the Department of Justice and the special counsel for doing your jobs?
I think the attack is unjustified. I think the people who worked with me as career public servants are people, they're part of the reason I've been a prosecutor for so long is to work with people like that, not just the prosecutors in my office, but also the agents, FBI agents who are heroes, who have served their country not only as agents, but also overseas.
Yep.
I think those attacks are unwarranted based on the facts. And I think that they have no basis in who we are as Americans, as a country. I don't see attacking people like that as anything appropriate.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back to you.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar?
Who?
She was their star witness. January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings they paid the former president of ABC News to put together.
Oh my
She was not
God.
the only witness at this special prime time hearing Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Now, Jim Jordan here is giving you fodder, okay? Because let me tell you something. I believe, was it Steve Bannon? Who was it? Who was it that was talking to Epstein? And in the Epstein files that have been released, and oh, by the way, Jim, you fucking turd, you spineless, gutless husk of a human being, you are in violation of the law by not turning over the rest of the Epstein files. Anyway, the Epstein files that are available, everybody go search. Because man, oh man, there was a lot of contact going on during this, the hearing that he's grandstanding about, the primetime ABC News Network. Go fucking tell it to Barry Weiss, you piece of shit. Go tell it. I need you to go fuck yourself. So please go look at the Epstein files and see how many of these motherfuckers, including Steve Bannon, oh boy, they were talking about all this shit.
Evening, and she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol.
How do you live with
And I just
yourself,
wanna know,
you garbage human?
you think she was lying?
You think you were lying?
Chairman Jordan, my assessment of that particular issue is that with respect to the testimony about the president lunging towards the driver, my recollection of her testimony about that is that it was secondhand. She said she'd heard that from somebody.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
I'm sorry.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
Yes.
White House Deputy Chief of Operations, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, right? You remember what he said about it?
What is this, a memory
As I sit here
test?
right now, I do not.
Yeah, he said it didn't happen. How about Bobby Engel? You familiar with that name?
American. Fuck off.
Yes, I am.
Secret Service agent who was actually in the car that day. You know what he said? He said it didn't happen.
Okay.
And they both said the first time they ever heard this story was when Ms. Hutchinson testified in the primetime hearing as their star witness of the January 6th committee. By the way, did you ever confirm her testimony about this particular incident?
So I think there's some conflation going on.
We conducted, as I said before, our own independent investigation of all aspects of the case that we thought was relevant. We, attorneys from my office.
Did you ever confirm it? That's a simple question.
No, it's not, asshole.
We interviewed her, I should say, attorneys in my office.
Did you ever confirm the president?
Oh, give me a
leaping across
break.
the seat, grabbing the steering wheel, this whole concoction she brought up in the January 6th hearing. Did you ever confirm that?
We interviewed another firsthand witness who was in the car who did not confirm that
Okay.
happened, but also
In your deposition to the committee last month,
Jim Jordan.
you said this. My recollection with Miss Hutchinson was a number of the things that she gave evidence on were secondhand hearsay. You
That's
remember
what he just said, dumbass.
month in the deposition?
I did, and I was referring particularly to what we're talking about now.
No
Yeah, you
shit.
also said Miss Hutchinson regarding this particular claim was
Yeah.
a second or even third-hand witness. We asked you if you were a defense attorney, how would you handle cross-examining her if she was on the witness stand? And you said if I were a defense attorney and Miss Hutchinson were a witness, the first thing I would do was seek to preclude her testimony because it was hearsay. You remember
Yeah.
saying all that?
Yeah. Okay. And that was your job,
Yes,
right?
That's correct, sir.
That's correct, right? Were you going to put her on the witness stand if you ever got to trial?
We had not made final determinations as to who we were going to call as a witness. We had a
You were
large,
still considering her?
Yeah, dumbass.
large choice of witnesses in this
Are
case.
you familiar with what
Jim Jordan, you fucking hairball piece of trash.
His book, 300-some pages book on Chronicle and the whole investigation.
Who gives? Okay, you know what?
Here's what they
Fuck
said.
you. Fuck
On
you, Jim
page
Jordan.
310, they
You
said, Jack
pedo
Smith had
in a
wondered whether some
Speedo.
of Hutchinson's claims might be relied upon at trial. Still, at one point, Smith told the elections team he wasn't ready to give up on Hutchinson's account.
Right.
Ultimately, however,
Okay.
Trump administration officials uniformly, fiercely disputed her accounts under
Of course
oath.
they
Prosecutors
would.
on your team told Smith
Under
they
oath.
wouldn't want to use
Yeah.
Hutchinson as a witness in court, and Smith agreed.
Right. Because you give a fuck about your oath, you horrible piece of sex pest covering up trash. The fact that this man cannot be bothered to put on a goddamn suit jacket should be a fucking crime. Have some respect. You piece of garbage. How they keep electing this mother scratcher is beyond me. He is a piece of shit. Y'all are acting like goddamn your oath means shit. Fuck you. Fuck you. You don't give a shit.
Are Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis, who wrote this, are they lying?
Okay, use the G. Your folksy gibberish, adding a ne, lying. Are they lying? Shut up.
My recollection is that I certainly have not made any final determinations about
And
who we were going to call.
and that's the point. That is
Look at
the fact that they
classic Jim.
in a primetime hearing and
Okay, you know what? Fuck you. I will pray for your fucking immortal soul because man, oh man, it's going to be rough in the great hereafter if there is one, you piece of shit.
you won't rule out using her, didn't rule out using her.
You know what happened, Jim? You called President Trump like a scared little bitch when your fucking plan went straight into action. You motherfuckers enabled an insurrection against the United States of America. And you're sitting here talking in your unfucking suit jacketed hubris bullshitty self. Sitting here dressing down a man who's been a fucking public servant and served and oversaw the Kosovo. God, no, you're garbage. You're trash. You don't give a shit about the Constitution. And let me tell you something, you little fucking crackhead. You were acting like a bitch in the closed door hearings. You're putting on a hell of a show, you horrible, horrible piece of garbage.
Putting her on the witness stand when everybody
Blankety
knows
blank.
the truth. That says it all. That's the degree the left and Democrats were willing to go to get President Trump. Putting on the witness stand someone everybody knows is making it up.
Yeah,
Everybody knows that.
yeah,
And they
right.
were willing to do it. By the way, you know how many times Cassidy Hutchinson was mentioned in their report, the January 6th report? Any idea, Mr. Smith?
I do not.
185 times. Someone that the whole country knows wasn't telling the truth.
Yeah.
And you were still considering
Yeah.
putting her on the witness stand because you
Did he just say
had to
girl?
get President Trump. And
Yeah, get
everybody-
booty, blah, blah, blah. There, get it.
we better take a recess
Okay.
for
Yeah.
for votes. We will resume as soon as votes are over. Back here 10 minutes after. Ms. Smith, you guys can go back to the room that you were in.
Okay, you know what? Go All right. You guys. Whoo! All right. Here's the thing. Oh my God. I feel faint. So, Fig, yes, let's talk about this. So, I'm not going to watch any more of this because I'm going to go and take care of my cat and stuff, but I do want to talk about what Fig brings up here because it's important. What is happening in Minnesota? Okay, so first of all, we need to understand that ICE has been doing this under every fucking administration, that this is now reached its zenith. And this has been Trump's goal, that boiled, peeled, disgusting almond of a man, Stephen Miller, is sitting around jerking off to children being renditioned to El Paso, Texas. Okay. So that's what we have going on here. But what you can do, and what I've been doing, is I have said this before. I have been observing court. I've been going down to observe court and in Federal Plaza here in New York City because I can't feel helpless anymore. I won't be helpless anymore. Right. Go through a training program. There's plenty of really, really good ones through nonprofit organizations, through pro bono legal associations, and get trained to be an observer. So there's different ways you can become an observer of courts, or like people are doing in Minneapolis, and there's going to be more and more need for this. It's foundational. So these protests, or these people that are coming out and warning their neighbors of the brown shirts coming, are doing legal observation. ACLU has a program where they have protest monitors. There's similar things that go on. I have an organization that I went and I trained through. Some hearings, and the thing that I need people to understand and really take home. I may lose my shit because Jim Jordan is gross, and he's an absolute piece of shit. And while people are getting gassed by in the streets by their government, and we have. Anyway, okay. Training. It's real easy. You just follow. It's real easy. You can go in person. A lot of, well, that's not true. Many immigration courts are available to observe online. And we need that now more than ever, because what is happening in courtrooms are basically what's happening is there's this thing called, and I want everybody to look this up, pre-termit. So pre-termittance is when an asylum seeker who has been going through the process of finalizing their right to stay because they are fearful, can they be streamed? I don't think so. I don't think that's it. And this is why it's important to get through an organization, because the organizations, so let me make something clear. You can go observe court hearings. They're open to the public. Now, you have to be, the immigration court is something separate and apart from regular courts. It's an administrative court. There's a lot of different rules. Now, most people do not have representation. Most folks that are going through the asylum process do not have legal representation. The problem is that even if they do have legal representation, the Trump administration has issued, this kind of like hey, we're just gonna rule by fiat, and issue a policy that we can move to pre-termit a person that's gone through 3, 4, 5 years of legal processes and court hearings. Okay. And what pre-termittance means is that they can ask ICE judges, DHS judges can ask for a person who has been going through the process to be removed to a third party country. And I've seen it happen. And what is happening in the court system needs as much heat and light as what is happening on the street. And so we need people to find those programs. And you can look up, I think Minnesota, there's a really prominent one. Basically, if you look up any immigrant rights organization and look up court, how to train to be a court observer, or how to train to be, a legal observer. You can volunteer to do this. I volunteer once a week to go down, and I wish I could be there more, but I can't. And the thing is that there's not a lot people can do, but witnessing means something. Witnessing means something. And it's hard to bear witness to what this country is doing to human beings. Aside from, thank you. Yes. Let me see. Yes. Yes, there are specific training. And it's heartbreaking, but we are not powerless. We can, this waiting for November stuff, it's got to stop. There's no waiting for November. What's happening in our courtrooms is, it's kind of the worst of us acting out what they probably know somewhere within them. The DHS lawyers that it's just wrong. Some of them maybe take glee in it. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. You love this idea. How does it work? Do you report back to an organization? Yes. So in my case, I trained to become a friend of the court. And now there's different things you can do. You can just observe, you can do a detention observation, which means you just keep track of and report. So I think you've probably been hearing a lot from Minneapolis about how ICE has been monitoring signal chats and all this other stuff of observers. And they have, hang on a second. And so what happens, the process is for ICE detention, you can go, you observe, you see how many ICE agents are there. If they are, I haven't encountered any ICE agents yet, but that's because I've been doing court observation and not detention observation. But detention observation is, again, the act of witnessing. So for me, I can only speak from my experience with my organization, is that the day of your work, I am added to a signal chat. We let everybody know, like I pick a courtroom that I will go in and observe. And I will let people know I'm in such and such courtroom today. And what I do at the end of the day is when I come home after taking like all my notes, I go into the database that they have to enter all the information that I observed. And so I'm trying to, from memory, God, do you want to hear about this? Is this something you guys want to hear about? Because I can talk about it all day. But what so there's a new trend that, yes. So yes, so that's what you do. So becoming a friend of the court for me is a way for me to be able to intervene. Now, there's lawyers, there's pro bono lawyers that are at the court. There are, and they are out there doing the Lord's work, and trying to keep up with all of the new fiats that are being issued by Donald Trump and his just lawless bullshit. So the first observation day I was there, it was nobody had a representation. And so there were families there. There were, people that have come. It felt like kettling to me. You guys know what kettling is, right? Oh, woman, here you go. So what kettling is when you, and maybe I saw Nick jump in the chat. Were you in the EU Parliament when the issue of the protesters during, I don't know, it was something about the kettling of citizens in London during a high level meeting. But anyway, it ended up at the European Court of Human Rights. And this was before, anyway, my point is that kettling is basically, when you think about cattle in a chute, that's kind of what this felt like to me, is that people are being told, come to America, we'll take care of you. We have legal processes to take care of this, right? They do. Everybody that I observed had stacks of paperwork, had been doing the work to become a citizen, or to get their green cards, to be able to say, I can't go back and my children can't go back because we will get the ever-loving shit kicked out of us. So the first day was fucking terrible because nobody had a goddamn representative. So my role and my training was that when there was a pretermission being proposed, meaning during the hearing, the person represents themselves through an interpreter, the judge does whatever, and then the ICE and DHS lawyers then can make a motion to pre-termit. And so typically at the stages I've been at, they're at the point of where the asylum seeker is looking for a merits hearing. So a hearing on the merits. What is it that makes it impossible for you to return to your country? What is it? And so they're at the point coming in, hoping to get a date set on the calendar for them to present all their evidence, which they've been doing. Again, filling out their paperwork, keeping the government informed about where they're living, et cetera, et cetera. And so that first day, I was running in and out of the courtroom, down the hall to the pro bono immigration lawyers, because all of a sudden, Uganda, renditioning people to a third country. You know how people probably know about being, Kilmar Abrego Garcia being renditioned to El Salvador, that third party nation thing. Uganda suddenly was on the table. Now, the judge was even surprised at this. She asked DHS, because this was their proposal. They wanted to pre-termit a man who had been here for several years with a stack of papers of asylum paperwork. And the ICE the ICE lawyers, one with her terrible weave. The other one looked like a French fried, not even French fried, I'm sorry, a pale potato stick of a man in a mismatched Gap suit made a motion to preterm it. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. To Uganda. This man was from Honduras, I think. This man was from Honduras. And the judge said to the DHS lawyers, wait a minute. When did we have this agreement with you, Uganda? Yes. Okay, this is a really good analog. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. So, a lot in Seattle and DC, or I'm sorry. So anyway, it's a lot like the UK and Rwanda. But anyway, so I was like, I knew that this pretermission was a thing, but we didn't know that Uganda had been added as a country. We'd been hearing about El Salvador and all this other shit. And the judge was like, sir, do you know anyone who lives in Uganda? No. No. And then she asked, sir, do you know where Uganda is? And that's an okay question because we have an orange shit gibbon that thinks Iceland is fucking Greenland. So why would we expect a man from Honduras seeking asylum to know where the fuck Uganda was? Most goddamn people don't even know, can't find their ass with both hands. He said no, because of course not. So ran down the fucking hall and I'm like, hey, woohoo. Because some you have to know what judges will and will not do. You couldn't use a phone in that court. You couldn't use electronics. I did by the end of the day because I'm like, go fuck yourself. Kick me out if you want. But I'm like texting in my Signal chat. Hey, y'all, I'm in courtroom number 12. You might want to get down here. They're trying to preterm a woman and her American-born child. Oh, hey, by the way, did you know Uganda was on the table? So our job as court observers is to see what is happening. That was a new thing. We report that, right? So then I go back and now they know. So that gets added to the training. Here's what you look for. The new country that they're trying to pre-termit people to is Uganda. If you hear the word pre-termit, if you hear this, so that was all adults. Now the second one I went to, this is going to knock your socks off. These were the dreamers. These were the people that were brought here as children. There were and this is the thing so this is the trends that you see behind the scenes, and the trends that you see, or that court observers and legal observers see and report. That's doing the work of informing the immigration lawyers doing the work on the ground. Hey, you need to look out for this next thing. So this next thing is something called SIG, S-I-G, and it's S-I-J. So it was a, oh, God damn it, I can't remember. But basically, it's an acronym. But basically, there were 26 cases that day. And thankfully, these people were represented. All of them were represented. So they had time, and I found out why later. Why they were represented because they came here as children. And they were there as children. So juveniles, right? Nobody was over the age of 20 in these 26 cases. And most of them were waiting on, actually, hang on, let me find the case. Stand by. Okay. So this day, it's my book. So yeah, so basically the I-95 or 589 is the asylum requests. And the thing that was interesting at this hearing was, I believe it was in December, there was a court case that the attorneys for the respondents were citing to, and it's called ACR. Let me see, ACRB. No, and so this was a new order that halted the people who had come here as children. So they were, of course, you know, I mean, this should not come as a shock to any of us because they're throwing 5-year-olds into an El Paso de facto internment camp from Minneapolis. But the new thing, my point is, the new thing here to report back to these organizations that do this is that here's a new thing that is now available as a relief. And so you know, if you've listened to Osbrook or people talking about Delphi and all this other stuff, you ask for, there has to be an ask for, what's the relief that you're seeking? And so they were seeking relief under this court ruling against Christy. I'm going to pew, pew, pew my pet dog. No, put a stop, essentially. And this is like broad strokes. You can look it up. I put it in the chat. Hi, Toots. And this was their relief. So it was basically putting a stay on people who came here under DACA, or there were some that were under VAWA, which is Violence Against Women Act. You know, and so it put a stay on trying to remove those people and let them go through the juvenile court process. Now, the thing that was fucking disturbing, I mean, there's a lot disturbing here. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot that's disturbing here, but there were girls as young as 13 years old in this adult proceeding. And I found this really unsettling for a lot of reasons. But so that was a new trend. So when somebody asked me before about reporting, is there something that you can do? You don't just go, yes. So basically the new trend that I saw in that hearing was that apparently now we're not using the juvenile system. It was incredibly strange in this setting because they were mixing adults and children, which apparently, you know, we're sliding into, you know, so like, here's one 15-year-old child, 15-year-old child, client is 19, came as a child, motion to pre-termit. Sure. Why not? This person, yeah. So this person was 19 years old. And there was a move to pre-termit this person, and they were enrolled in school. There were several requests for deferral. Let's see. Okay, they want to send this person to Guatemala. They wanted to send a 15-year-old back to, hang on one second here, Guinea. There were 2 15-year-olds from Guinea. One was under guardianship because they are, I think there was a disability, mental, or some sort of reason that they had to have a guardianship, and the DHS judge moved to have them pre-termitted back to Guinea. And I'm like, you know what? How do you sleep at night? You know? So this is happening. And so this was 26 cases, right? And so again, they just came there hoping that they would get a date for a merits hearing. All they want to do is show the documentation that they've been gathering, right? To be able to stay. These are people going through the legal process. That 5-year-old boy in Minneapolis, I was reading about it this morning. And I mean, aside from just the trafficking of it all, right? Aside from that, the parents have active asylum cases. Hi, Dr. Vonda. And the thing is that having active asylum cases, every single person that I've observed, whether it's on a WebEx or in the courtroom, have active asylum cases. People believe the people that are going through asylum processes, I don't even know why they show up anymore. I honestly don't. Your risk of removal, being kettled by the federal government, why even show up? And the thing is that they show up because they, like many of us, believed that there was a legal system in place for them and that they had been following this system. It's never fucking been perfect. And I don't want to talk about the way that it needs to be reformed. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that right now. That ship has sailed. So, you know, you see what you're seeing on the street and the utter lawlessness, that many of us have been screaming about for over a decade now. And the cruelty and the illegality and the actual patriots that are standing up and blowing whistles and showing up in courts and calling their representatives and doing everything that they can, that are organizing, the trade unions that are coming together, right? We don't have time to talk about reform. We have to save people's lives. We have to not allow this government to continue to be lawless. We are the reason we are here. White people, specifically. We have not spoke out enough. We have not put our bodies on the line. We have not gotten out of our comfort zone. Now listen, when I say we, I understand that many people, whoever is still around to listen to me talk, because man, oh man, they don't want to talk about fucking politics. Y'all are the ones that have been doing the work and talking, right? You know, but generally speaking. So we don't have time to talk about reform. We only have time to try to save as many people as we can. from who have been doing nothing but just living their lives, and to call it the bullshit, because it's the mainstream. It's not even mainstream media. The legacy media is bought and paid for. They've normalized what is not normal, and it is appalling that this is where we are. But this is where we are. Wait a second. Let's see here. I have been. I just wanted to know if it was a wasted effort. I don't know what you said. What are you working on there, Nicole? What can I help you with? Okay, here we go. Can I ask if it's even worth me still calling my representatives? I live in Kansas and they do not give a shit. Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt if is there. So my suggestion then, Nicole, would be to act locally. What can you do locally? Is there something locally? Because that's the thing. It's like people that say they don't want to talk about politics have never used a public road, have never attended a school board meeting, have never utilized any public transportation. It's all politics. So I'm not here to hear anybody say, I don't like to talk about politics. Bullshit. Bullshit. And that's why I got on my high horse about the Richard Allen trial. That's all politics, right? Because Judge Gold retired, now they're going to run. Anyway, I'm trying to draw these connections for fucking people. So Nicole, specifically, if there's something that there's got to be, I would look for, if you're interested in doing some court observation, there's probably an immigration, pro bono immigration legal outfit in Kansas that does trainings if you feel like you need to be more involved. Some of these places do WebEx hearings and you can do it from your house. So if you feel like you need to do more, then do that, right? So, but I do think that putting pressure on electeds is important. But I do also believe that when in doubt, act locally. And so for a long time, I was reticent to even get involved in anything in New York City. I don't know why. I guess because I've always considered myself an Iowan, right? So it's never felt like I don't know how to explain it. But, after this last year, I'm like, I got to do something. I got to more than just bitching and moaning and being a reporter, which also serves a purpose. But that's why I got involved, because I'm like, nah, nope. And so you can do that. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, it's very cold, cold, cold. No, I don't know if I have better answers. That's the thing. Yes, why not? Actually, this reminds me of a story. My friend Betty, oh God, she's like a Southern gal. Anyway, she now lives in Texas, and she's like, I don't know, a grandmother, probably cruising in on her late 70s right now. She and a group of her women friends would go and dress up as chickens in front of Ted Cruz's office, local office, every week. Right? So you can do that. You can do that. So if you're calling DC offices, find your local offices. Your representatives have offices that are local, right? You can send them the lowest form of I always like to say, send them an edible arrangement, right? with with some cat hair on it and a note that says, do something. Do something. Chalk their sidewalk. You bet. People, we are tax-paying folk, whether it's through income tax or tax on our daily lives. That's another thing, right? Is this what you want your money going to? Sometimes that's the only thing that will speak to a person that's in a position of political power. Another thing that I encourage people to do is look at your county jails. Do they have reciprocity agreements with the federal government to hold ICE detainees? Because if they do, you have input on that. Okay. You serve on their committees. What committees? Say more. My senator's office is right next door to a daycare center, and those workers glare at us, but it's not our fault. The reps hide behind children. Right. I mean, right? Aw, thanks. It's gonna be it's a shit show, but then again, every See You Next Thursday or See You Next Tuesday is just me venting my spleen. And again, like I said, I've lost a lot of followers, but you know what's funny? Who gives a shit, right? Who fucking gives a shit? The point is that this is that tipping point. Some of us, there's part of me that's like, Jesus Christ, why are we having to do this all over again? I cannot believe that as an old bag out here living in the world, we're having to relitigate fundamental freedoms, bodily autonomy, and the downfall of whatever constitutional protections or constitutional whatever that ever was, let alone the downfall of the international norms and rules and alliances, right? How are we having to do this again? And I get real caught up in my ass with that because I'm Gen X, and listen, ain't nobody got time for that shit. I grew up with existential dread of being blown off the face of the earth by the USSR. So, look, I had a nice long think about it, and it's like, you know what? Gen Xers, those of us that made it, we were unparented. We were allowed to, for example, climb the roof of a barn and hang on to, say, an a lightning rod and slide down the other side, run wild in the streets. We had 4 TV stations, and we heard the drone of nuclear holocaust. So I'm built for this shit. Bring it. Bring it. I don't want to be here. I don't want this to be the point in history that we're living through, but it's fucking where we are. And the tipping point for me, well, not for me, the tipping point, I think, or at least I'm feeling this, and I could be totally fucking wrong, but the tipping point was when they shot Renee Good in the face. And that was not so much about her being a white woman getting shot in the face. That was about what more and more white people are going to need to do. And that is to risk sometimes everything to save our neighbors. Right? And when I was a kid, my mom had a blue typewriter, and I wanted to learn how to type. And so when you learn how to type, you get little things that you learn where the keys are. Like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Blurgity, blurgity, blurg. My mom, feminist, sophisticated lady living in the sticks. I don't know how that happened, but hardcore feminist gal gave me the somewhat outdated World War II, because my parents, my dad's gone, but my parents are old as fuck. My Uncle Harold was, in the war, whatever. So there's still a lot of that. So her phrase to me was something that came from, I think, during World War II. The slogan was, "Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country." And so what she said to me was, here, I'm going to write it down. And she said, "Now is the time for all good men and women to come to the aid of their country." And that's how I learned to type. Now is that time. And we're not coming to the aid of our country per se, because to me, it's like, fuck this country. Fuck it. Fuck this. To me, what that is, look, there was an ideal that rightly or wrongly, we who were accidentally born here. I mean, the fact that my people even made it through Ellis Island is a goddamn miracle. We're a bunch of pack of stone cold weirdos. They let us, okay. So the fact that we are accidentally born where we are as in the United States, we're sold a bill of goods, and that bill of goods is the Constitution. And the thing is that people in positions of power, white men, whoever, they drag, the oligarchs, the bloggity blog, they realize that the Constitution has gone way further than they ever imagined it could go. It's given a lot of people rights. Black people. My God, women. You think those fucking dirty ass syphilis suffering founders could give a shit about unlanded people who didn't own land, who weren't essentially gentry, right? You think that they expected in a million years that Black people would be able to fucking walk down the street unshackled? You think that's something that they really thought of? They gave us the tools, and they hate that we used them and believed in them. So if you, and that's the thing, if you didn't own land, if you were whatever, but they made it about race, right? Which is why so many fucking white people vote against our interests. Because that's, anyway. So my point is that now is the time for all good men and women to come to the aid of their country. That's just the truth. And you can find your way to doing that, right? Yeah. Correct. I mean, come on, right? I mean, their noses were falling off. I just kind of had it. Yeah. I mean, yes, exactly. That's the oligarchies. Moment again, pep talking away. Oh, I don't know if it's pep talk. It's just me being, again, an old bag out here in the world, right? So, but I think that there should be no equivocation anymore. At least for me, there's just no equivocating here. The global order has shifted fundamentally, and this is an opportunity if we take it. Because now people realize it's time to act, I think, I hope. And the very idea that they thought Minneapolis was the place to go do this. I mean, these people build shacks on frozen lakes and sleep out on them. They're the descendants of actual Vikings. I mean, really? That's who you're going for? I don't know. More, you know, and the thing is that another thing that I've heard is that people are like, well, what will a march do? What will showing up once a month or whatever? What it does is that going out in public and gathering, it does make an impression. You know, it does make an impression. It does something. And it's I think people feel helpless. And here's another thing. Go feel helpless. It's all right. I got a little cry closet. I got a little tiny cry closet. But that's okay too. Look, man, it sucks out here. It is fucking hard. It's gross. It's horrible. And yeah, it's bad. It's bad, real bad. But you know, take your time to. I listen to just ridiculous comedy shows, and I listen to my programs at night, and I paint and I do this shit, and I force myself to do it even when all I want to do is doom scroll, because I need that, right? I need that. I go out, I get out, fucking walk, I do whatever. I get my shit together. I break down, and then it's like, all right, then what? Because I don't have a fucking choice. I guess that's just who I am. But I think there's so many of us out there, right? But there's no equivocating anymore. And the thing is that that's going to mean some hard choices for people. I have family members who I will not ever speak to again because they voted twice for this person. And I'm like, really? With our history? Really? It's not even distant. I mean, my dad was the first. Oh God, it's like what? Okay, but I'm sorry, I won't break bread with people who go along and vote against everything that I was raised to believe, which is common decency, basic equity. You know. So what else is going on? You know what's interesting is that most
constitutions, like when you look at the world, and I can't remember where the fuck I read this. I don't know. Most constitutions in the world last about 7 years before they're recycled or reformed. And it's interesting because, you know, everybody believes that our Constitution has lasted this long. And I guess the way that our Constitution has worked and evolved is through the amendment process, which is just bullshit. But, you know, I mean, it's kind of miraculous when you think about it that we made it this long because right? I also struggle with my parents who are almost 80. Yeah. Look, man, I get it. Now, I get it. And that's a lot of people's truth, right? Is that right? But, you know, and that's hard and that's painful. And I know that feeling. And it's a loss. And I think that, you know, find those people that have that same experience. Community is fucking powerful, man. You know, community is powerful. And I think that that is what terrifies this administration the most, is that people are finding communities. You know, certainly when you've got wine moms out there making fun of literal Nazis in their Minnesota accents. Oh God. When you've pissed off the Minnesota wine moms, it's a problem. They know it. And that little tiny gremlin, that little horrible piece of shit, whatever his name is, Bovino, that walks around in his SS garb. Little tiny wee man. Chode. Total chode. What else is going on? Oh my God, it's been an hour and a half and I've been doing nothing but blathering on. What else? Oh, not the wine moms. Oh yeah. Oh God. I mean, and not for nothing. I mean, I'm from Iowa, but my mom is from Austin, Minnesota. She's scary as hell. She's scary. She retains her scariness, even at the age cruising in on 90. Ooh, that they have no idea what they've done. But you know, I mean, the thing is that there are things we can do, and if you have to take when you have to take a break, because you will have to take a break, take it. Don't feel guilty about it. Shit, man. We are not the guilty ones. The guilty ones are up there trying to fuck with my boy, Jack Smith. So rage clean. That's a great coping mechanism. 84-year, okay, still gets up in their faces when they assume she's on their side because she's an old white chick. Right. Has the intestinal fortitude to watch the news daily. That's another thing too. I think it's interesting. Where are people consuming their news right now? Because I watched a CNN thing this morning and I was kind of outraged. It was at Davos, which sounds like someplace out of either Lord of the Rings or what was that? God damn it. Game of Thrones. But talking to Al Gore, and Al Gore tried to make a silk purse out of an orange piece of shit sow's ear. And the way that the narrative was framed by, actually, let me see if I can find it, because I was like, what are you doing? It was a stupid ass. Maybe I put it on my. Uh-oh, hang on a second. Let me just see here. Sorry, I'm going through trying to find. Maybe I didn't. Damn it. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is from, let me see if I can pull it up. This is, so I do actually want to understand where people are consuming their news, because the way that they've normalized Donald Trump talking about Greenland is breathtaking. No. So let me add this. Okay. Now, I saw this morning and I was like, what the fuck? Let me see if I can turn the volume up.
That he would do such a thing in the first place. But I think he backed down, and that's good.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for standing obviously outside the room. And I would love to know what you thought of the president's speech, given you are obviously a very prominent U.S. Policymaker. And what did you make of hearing it from the U.S. perspective, given so many of the European friends that are in the room?
Well, I think it was a classic Trump performance. I would hate to be the fact checker that had to go through that speech. But I think there was one element of the speech that I would interpret as a positive. I think perhaps because of the stock market's reaction yesterday, he appeared to back down from his previous threat to use military force to acquire Greenland. And if I'm interpreting that correctly, I think that's a good thing. It was, of course, crazy that he would do such a thing in the first place, but I think he backed down, and that's good.
So you directly tie him making the clearest statement yet that the United States is not going to use military force to take Greenland. You think that's because of what happened in the stock market yesterday?
Oh, I can only speculate. I don't know what's inside his mind. It would be quite something if I could see inside his mind. But many people have speculated that the bond market and the stock market really have a lot of influence on him. And when it goes down almost 900 points, and people do interpret it as a sell America trade, that may well have been the reason he backed down. It may have also been that a lot of people who are close to him, who are more tethered to reality, convinced him that he had made a mistake.
And can I get your take on what the president had to say about essentially when Denmark was being occupied by Nazi Germany and the United States was putting military bases on Greenland? He was essentially arguing that the United States has a right to Greenland. Is that how you see it as a former vice president?
No, not at all. You know.
Okay, first of all, here's the thing, lady. What the fuck kind of question is that? I'm sorry, what? Are you kidding me? What kind of fucking question is that? The question should be, do you have anything to say while we're here on the world stage about the kidnapping of children off of US streets? Why are they asking this like it's a thing? It's not a fucking thing. Are you kidding me? So where are people getting their news? Because this is not news. This is bullshit. I mean, okay, God love you, Al, but come on.
When the United States was attacked on 9/11, Denmark immediately responded as part of NATO.
Right. That's another thing. Okay. NATO. Because rise, international law nerds. This is our time. This is our time. And I know people don't care for international law. Fuck you. Fuck you. The U.S. has rendered itself pretty much a failed state. God love it. And we'll do everything we can to bring it back. But man, oh man, NATO, international norms, customary international law, alliances. The only, God damn it, it burns me up. because Americans don't fucking give enough of a shit about international goddamn law, which also, by the way, in the Constitution is considered the supreme law of the land once it's been ratified and signed. Treaties, they mean something. They're the law de facto. Okay. You know who the only fucking country to invoke Article 5 on NATO was? Does anybody fucking know? While Trump's up there saying, we did this and we did that. First of all, Bone Spurs, you didn't do shit. You didn't. You didn't do shit. You're a felon. You're an adjudicated rapist. Look it up. See what the judge said. Right? The only NATO allies that have ever fucking tested the alliance of NATO and our allies has been the United States of fucking America. And that's what Gore's getting ready to say. He's getting ready to say after 9/11, we invoked Article 5 because it was assault on one of us. It's like what Mamdani said to Trump when he threatened to send ICE into New York. If you want to get to one of us, you're going to go through all of us. The United States of America has relied on the rest of the world. And the rewriting of history to make it sound, the fucking absolute shit that Trump has been taking on the World War II veterans. And oh, by the way, it took the US a very long time to get involved in that war. Oh, yes, we were not right there at the jump. But he takes a giant shit on the graves of all those fucking military that fought and died. All the Rosie Riveters that went out there to work on the fucking ships. So when they talk about NATO, when he talks about Greenland, hashtag never forget, Greenland was never belonged to the United States. I don't know. First of all, no, it's not a thing. The positioning of it here as a normal course of action. No, I'm sorry, CNN, do better. Report on the reality of what's going on. Sir, did you find it unhinged that this man was referring to Iceland as Greenland? Did you find it absolutely objectionable and reprehensible that he would call our neighbors to the north, their prime minister, that they've been writing off the coattail? Would you call these things normal, sir? Right? No, this is not normal. And I'm literally asking a question. This isn't rhetorical. Where are people getting their fucking news from? Because I know. Exactly. Anyway. What was I talking about? It doesn't matter. When people tell you, and this is something to think about too, because most of you found me through my haranguing on about the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad murder sheet pieces of shit in the Delphi case. And they were probably stunned to realize that when I said I stand for due process, I meant all due process, and calling out people that violate it, including the orange shit given, which is, again, why, whatever. When people say they're not about politics, when people say they don't get involved in politics, if they say that and they cheer the retirement of Fran Gull and the fact that her daughter is now running in a political race for judgeship, you can call their bullshit. So I have a real bone of contention with these large people with large platforms that are for due process, but don't want to get involved in politics. Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot. You're involved. If you live in the world, yeah, this is what I thought, Dr. Vonda. He was, I mean, it's just, there's still this sort of whatever. Yeah, her daughter is running. Politics. So seriously though, if any of your favorite law tubers start going on about Fran Gohl retiring and her daughter running, call them out and say, hey, we don't do politics. Put them on the fucking spot. Put them on the fucking spot. Because you aren't you don't operate in civil society in the world without being involved in politics. And if you're fucking shying away from the greatest challenge to that due process and the Constitution that you love, then you're just a content creator. And I think, it's a missed opportunity. All hands on deck or not. Up to you, I guess. But that's my bone to pick. And yeah, so I'm sure that this has been bizarre, weird. But justice is politics, right? Right. But this is it. This is the predicate, right? The predicate of politics. That's the only reason, the system is political. That's the thing. Politics is not politicians. Politics is what happens to move the engine forward. And Dr. Vonda, you're absolutely right. It's not news, it's about justice. But when justice becomes the news, what choice do we have? Right? I mean, I don't understand it. And it may be because I have the tism, maybe because I do not think or understand the world as other people understand the world, but justice is news, and these things coexist, and we should not shy away from it. And I think part of the problem with the legacy media is that we shied away from it. And now it's unmoored from reality. Okay? So again, politics, right? We're all in it. We're all involved in it, just by virtue of living in the world. So take the politicians out of it. We're a nation of laws, and law is by its very nature a political entity. It just is. And the countries that recognize that and see how they work together or apart are better at separating the two. They just are. And that's why international law is such a critical part of this, is that nobody does it well. Nobody does it great. Nobody, right? We're humans. We're imperfect. But on the world stage, in international, like even maritime law, woo-wee, I cannot wait until we get to that time when we get back to maritime law and how it's going to impede America's trade, because sovereign waters will be closed to the United States because we're a clear and present danger to the world. The European Union right now is very, very seriously considering pulling the ripcord on a 2023 directive that allows essentially sanctioning. It doesn't say sanction per se, but it's against coercive economic coercion. And it's a good directive. And I think that it's okay. Somebody said, because I have a Czech flag and an American flag in my Twitter bio, that somehow I'm the R word. Okay. But there's nothing wrong with recognizing the EU might need to do something here, might need to do something to preserve the peace, the relative peace, right? Aside from all the bullshit and the wars and the goddamn insanity of it all, the relative peace that so many people have enjoyed in the Western world. And when I talk West, it's west of Germany, because don't get me started on the Slavs. But yeah, so we might see, look, what choice does the rest of the world have? I was thinking about, oh God, I'm a nerd. I am one of the largest nerds in international. Oh God, I could go on and on about international law, but, which I love because it does actually matter. And I think it's interesting. We're going to see how international law rolls out in the Maduro case. Lawless. We are a lawless nation that violates all of our existing commitments to the world, and it's gross. So many channels right now are trying to teach their audience critical thinking skills. Woo! A reptile channel. That sounds great. What else? Anything? Anybody? I don't know. I don't know, man. It is an all hands on deck situation. But it's also impromptu mega dance party in your kitchen situation if you need to, right? It's the, what is it? Live, laugh, love, dance like nobody's watching moments. Let yourself have some time. Let yourself remove yourself from the doom scroll. And then when you're ready, come back. And just know that that's okay. Yeah, I mean, who knows? The thing is that that's another thing too. Here's the other action item. If anybody's curious, another action item could be that when people say, oh, we would never, he would never, tell them, are you fucking crazy? So anyway, to think he would never is magical thinking. And people need to be disabused of this idea that there is anything that ever mattered. The Constitution is toilet paper to this piece of trash. I mean, to think that there's anything they wouldn't do, you can tell your friend that says that, you realize that they're kidnapping 5-year-old children off the streets of Minneapolis, yes? You realize that they are protecting and actively flouting the law to have released the Epstein files, right? Because how bad must something be that you will invade a sovereign nation, no matter how shitty their leader is, and kidnap them, to make threats against your NATO allies, and to gas citizens and non-citizens alike on the streets of your city? How bad is it? Right? So when people say, hey, he'll never do X, Y, or Z, come on, man. Who's Sasha Riley? Oh, God, I don't know anything about it. Project 2025. I mean, the thing is that I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, you know what? Oh, Sasha Riley. Yeah, I don't know anything. That that needs to be verified. But yeah, Nicole, I've heard about that. Look, it's what is being said. It's what is not being said by the leaders, that the elected officials. It's what's being focused on. It's the toll records of it all. When in fact, what Mr. Smith showed in his investigation, which, you know, again, Bill Barr was like, yep, Bill Barr, you know, Bill Barr, he of the Trump DOJ fame, agreed with, no matter how much Jim Jordan wants to bloviate, that Trump allowed, incited January 6th, which was an actual attempt to overthrow the government. So I think too that continuing to call things by their true name. We call things by their true name. January 6th was an attempt to overthrow the results of an election by the man who is now the elected president of the United States. A man who is a clear and present danger to the entire fucking world. We call it by their true names. When we see a fascist act, which is happening in Minnesota right now, what you're seeing right now is the exercise of fascism. We call that by its true name. And to the trolls and the people that will push back on that, good luck when they come to your town. Good luck. There are people that are not worth engaging with. The time for that has well and truly sailed. But finding those points of connection. And I think that's one of the things that struck me. And I knew it was going to be divisive as fuck when I lost my shit last, 2 weeks ago. And everybody was like, oh, how could you say such things about the president and white people? Because I believe that law is or it isn't. And right now it isn't. And that's why I try to draw the connections between what happened to Mr. Allen in Delphi and what is literally happening writ large. You think his fifth, or his due process rights were violated? I don't understand how it's so hard to make that leap here, because it's happening every day on a huge scale, but people don't want to talk about it. People don't want to talk about it because they think it's political. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like trying to get, when people try to make the analogs to the Karen Reed trial, right? Try to bring that group along. To me, I cannot be for due process for one person and not for another. Not for the people. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, we're in a humanitarian crisis right now, too, which is also part of international law. And war crimes were committed, I believe, by Pete Hegseth in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. Fuck you. But these things matter. And just, again, calling things by their true name. When you see a fascist act, when I see a fascist act, I will call it fascism. Again, Heather Cox Richardson. God, love that woman. Because, man, she is the living, breathing past his prologue. And she explains this moment incredibly well. Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with history. I mean, you can, but those are for the Caroline Levitts of the world. That's for the Mike Lindell TV news outlet that now has a seat in the White House press briefing room. The world of the echo chamber feels smaller and smaller because people can see what is actually happening. I mean, I hope they can. I think they are. But we don't, and we cannot wait for the elections. And I think if you are calling your representatives, if you are making those calls, there is there's articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem. Every single member of the executive branch of the cabinet can be impeached. They can. Pete Hegseth should be, they all should be impeached. I think, was it Representative Massey was threatening to begin proceedings against Pam Bondi? There are remedies. They are unpopular. They may seem like long shots, but it matters. Everything. It matters. And you have to celebrate the somewhat victories, right? There have been a couple of victories, and I think the most recent one was in the appropriations bill. The Democrats managed to strip all of the anti-LGBT language. Now, I don't know where that's at in the process, but that's a tiny move, right? The ACA that allows people to not die because they can't afford health care is now languishing, even though it passed out of the Senate, right? but that's something. There was a delegation of a bipartisan delegation that went to Denmark from the Senate to try to reestablish basically, hey, we're not all lunatics, to which I say, y'all had the chance to fucking give this idiot the goddamn shit hook when we impeached him twice the last time. But I digress. The man should be impeached again. He just should be. He's unfit. He's unwell. He's dereliction of duty. I mean, name it. But that's and the interesting thing is that that is, while it's conducted in the House and Senate, and many people frame that as politics, that's all politics. Well, it's also a mechanism that it is a mechanism, a tool. It is the prosecution and jury for trying these people, right? So let them call it. What's the point of impeachment? Okay. It never seems to get them thrown out. I don't understand it. Well, I think that everything, it's all hands on deck, right? So what's happening in the Nome impeachment is that they're gathering co-sponsors, and I think there's maybe over 100 now. And why it matters is because the American people can tune in and be informed. And I think that that does matter. I think it matters that the people who have no power right now, which is the Democratic Party, I mean, they do, and that is impeachment. They have to use everything at their disposal. Introducing articles of impeachment matters. Making a record matters. Using the tools at the disposal of the party that can bring them is important. So while it doesn't seem to go anywhere, and while Jim Jordan tried to make fun of it earlier, it is the purview. It isn't even the purview. It is the fucking responsibility of our representatives to fire the people that are responsible for this fucking nightmare. So that's my take on it. Is it going to go anywhere? Probably not. But you got to do something. You have to do something. You have to bear witness. You have to take the steps that you have at your disposal. So, I think the way that I look at the impeachment of Kristi Noem is me showing up to watch a court hearing. It's all I can do. I can't invade a sovereign nation and take their oil, So, but I get the question because it seems like it should lead to something. But I think sometimes the process is, to me, more important and more interesting and more valuable. And it's also an opportunity to educate people on, hey, cabinet folks can be impeached. Did you also know that Supreme Court justices can be impeached? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, Clarence Thomas. So I think that using the tools that we have available or that they have available, let it all hang out, man. Then, I don't know. I think we need to keep pushing for the release of the Epstein files. And I do think that people need to start looking at what is actually out there in the public realm, because there's a lot of interesting shit that's in the margins there. So yeah, I don't know. My cat's asleep. Do you want to see her? Little palate cleanse before we get the fuck out of here? I can't. Oh. The other thing I'll say is like, I wouldn't watch the live hearing of Mr. Smith. I would watch the one that was behind closed doors, because you're going to get a much less showboaty, much more restrained. Wee, say hello. Oh, look at, there she is. Hi, sweetie. Hi, Joe. There she is. That's my cucumber. You hungry? Oh, it's dead toots. So yeah, just call shit by its real name. Here's a good book. If you haven't read it, Log. Anne Applebaum, she's great. So yeah, we can only do what we can do. And here's to losing more followers, because this ain't my job. This is just me, an old bag. Oh, author name, Anne Applebaum. ANNE, Applebaum. Apple, BAUM. It's good. Because gulags is exactly what we're seeing. I mean, sort of. But yeah. Anyway, so do what you can. Take your impromptu mega dance party in the kitchen breaks as needed. Yeah, and I'll probably see you in like 2 weeks. Again, I'm got a lot of studying going on. But I felt like jumping on and saying, fuck it. Anyway. God, did I not turn on my face filter? My goodness. Boop, boop, boop. All right, everybody. So I'm going to go study my maritime law. Oh, I don't give a shit about the subs. Do not give a shit. I mean, people don't make any money doing this. This is just a weird side project. I guess it's more of a hobby now. So you'll hear from me probably once every couple weeks. I'm mostly over on Blue Sky now. But yeah, you guys are my least favorite people in the world. And if you know me, you know, and as always, I hate you all, the very least.